What if the way we say goodbye today becomes one of the biggest environmental decisions we ever make? For generations, families have only known two paths: burial or cremation. But now, entirely new methods are changing the conversation around what happens after death, and some of them may challenge everything you thought you knew. Welcome back to the Funeral Channel Network, brought to you by the Funeral Program site. Today, we're exploring one of the biggest shifts happening in modern death care: water cremation, human composting, and the surprising questions surrounding cost, environmental impact, tradition, and personal values. If you've ever wondered what the future of funerals might look like, this conversation may change your perspective.
For a century, Western death care was defined by a binary choice. You were either buried in the earth or burned by fire. Traditional burial is a high-intensity industrial process. Every year in the U.S., we inter approximately 20 million board feet of hardwood and 1.6 million tons of reinforced concrete. Cemeteries utilize these concrete burial vaults to maintain level lawns for industrial groundskeeping, ensuring heavy mowers can pass over graves without sinking. There is also a significant toxicological footprint. We bury about 4.3 million gallons of embalming fluid annually. The primary ingredient is formaldehyde, a carcinogen that presents severe long-term health risks to the funeral workers who handle it daily. While many families choose cremation to avoid this toxic legacy, the environmental benefits are often overestimated. A fire cremation takes place inside an industrial furnace, reaching temperatures up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This process, which runs for 2 to 3 hours, releases about 536 pounds of CO2 per person. It also vaporizes the silver amalgam in dental fillings, sending mercury gas directly into the atmosphere. We are also approaching a physical bottleneck. By 2045, cremation is projected to account for over 82% of all deaths in the U.S. The number of active crematories is only growing by about 5% annually, meaning the current infrastructure cannot keep up with the volume. The current system is at a breaking point. Burial takes up space, and cremation strains our air. The industry is beginning a structural shift toward the use of water and biology. This shift centers on two primary methods: alkaline hydrolysis, which uses a water-based chemical reaction, and natural organic reduction, which relies on microbes. For someone planning their own end, this choice is complex. It requires weighing the promise of green tech against inconsistent legal availability and significantly different price points. To make an informed decision, we have to map the costs against our personal values. When we look at the current options, traditional burial and fire cremation leave a massive empty space on the low-harm side, an area these new alternatives will fill. Alkaline hydrolysis, or aquamation, uses a stainless steel vessel filled with a solution of 95% water and 5% alkali. The process triggers saponification. Combining alkali, heat, and pressure accelerates natural decomposition, breaking down fats and proteins in hours instead of decades. It produces two results: pure white bone shadows returned as ashes, and a sterile nutrient liquid containing amino acids and salts. This method is uniquely suited for modern bodies. Medical implants like titanium hips and pacemakers emerge from the vessel perfectly clean and intact, allowing them to be easily recovered and recycled. Adoption faces a hurdle, often called the yuck factor. Because the resulting liquid is sterile and contains no DNA, most providers neutralize the pH and send the effluent directly into the municipal wastewater system. Aquamation uses 90% less energy than fire cremation, but its future depends on public willingness to accept liquid remains as a valid form of disposition. Natural organic reduction, or human composting, is an ecological approach that swaps chemical vessels for biological activity. The transformation relies on a specific carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. The body is layered in a vessel with carbon bulking agents like wood chips and straw. Thermophilic microbes begin metabolizing the tissue, naturally generating temperatures over 131 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 45 days, neutralizing pathogens. Once the process is finished and the material has cured, the family receives 1 cubic yard of dark, nutrient-dense soil. This is the only carbon-negative option. Because the soil itself sequesters carbon from the atmosphere, composting a single body can keep up to 1 metric ton of carbon out of the air. It is an act of regeneration, though it requires families to handle the logistics of an entire pickup truck's worth of soil and a multi-month wait time. However, we have to account for a biological reality. The modern human body is not a pristine object, overload microplastics, heavy metals, and chemicals from our environment. While microbes are efficient at breaking down soft tissue, they cannot easily destroy forever chemicals like PFAS or residuals from chemotherapy and antibiotics. Without proper regulation, there is a risk that these contaminants could be recycled back into the earth, entering the groundwater or local plant life through the composted soil. The industry is currently developing specialized transformation agents. These are additives designed to neutralize pharmaceutical compounds directly inside the composting vessel during the active phase. Scientific management must accompany natural decomposition to ensure that returning to the earth does not inadvertently introduce industrial toxicity into the local ecosystem. Filtering these choices requires looking at both your personal theology and your available budget. Catholic, Islamic, and Orthodox Jewish authorities generally oppose these methods. Their objections focus on the lack of a sacred, distinguishable resting place and the belief that dissolving or composting a body constitutes desecration. For these traditions, a whole body burial remains the only path. In contrast, many in the Reform Jewish movement have embraced aquamation. For them, water feels gentler and avoids the painful historical imagery of ovens and fire associated with the Holocaust. On the secular path, the choice often comes down to the bank account. Aquamation is priced competitively, averaging around $2,500. Human composting is a premium service, with costs ranging from $3,000 to $7,000. This higher cost reflects the real estate involved. You are paying to rent a specialized vessel for 3 months in a managed facility rather than the 3 hours required for a cremation. Choosing a green death is currently a balance between your environmental goals, your theological boundaries, and your financial reality. We are witnessing a shift away from static preservation. We are moving away from the 20th century goal of stopping time with chemicals and concrete. Ultimately, you have to decide what your physical legacy looks like. Do you want to be preserved in a vault or transformed into a resource? The technology now exists to turn the end of a life into the start of a forest. In a world where we can choose to give back to the earth, sticking to toxic traditions is a choice you have to make for yourself.
Death care is evolving, and there's no one right answer for everyone. Whether you value tradition, sustainability, faith, or leaving a different kind of legacy, the choices available today are expanding in ways many people never imagined. Tell us in the comments, would you choose traditional burial, cremation, water cremation, or human composting? And if you want more educational funeral content that explores the facts behind modern death care, subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.